You are. Ready? Okay.
We good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. So I want to thank everyone for coming. My name is Jason Webb. I currently serve as the Director of Real Estate and Finance here at DS9. I've been with the organization on staff now for 11 years. Grew up in this community, so I've been a part of DS9 for probably the past 25 years. So really excited to have you guys all come back to where I think we began, and that was, here doing the tour of the community, and for you guys to really come in to our house for our open house, to really get a sense of where we are and what we do. So to give folks a quick highlight of why we're here. So DS&I was approached by the City of Boston's Urban Mechanics and with Susan, with actually one of our contacts at UMass Boston, Judith Curley, who is the director of the
Center for Community Democracy and Democratic
May Louie, our director of resident leadership and capacity building. And it was basically Judith's worked with us over probably the past few years talking about how this community could be a promised neighborhood. And really, a lot of her skills have really led us to this great collaboration. And it's really good to see Deb Associate here, because Deb, I, and Nigel were a part of a work team that really talked about community technology. So tonight is really for you guys to present to us some of these great ideas that I've heard of in class, saw a few glimpses of, and have you guys have even excited some of the staff here as to what the next phase of this is. So I'm going to pass it over to Susan to walk us through. Thanks, guys.
Thanks to Jason and Denise and I for their graciousness and hospitality in welcoming us into their neighborhood and allowing us to work with them. My name is Susan Crawford, and I'm a professor at the Kennedy School at Harvard Law School. And this course really came about because of the Boston office of New Order Mechanics, my partners here. And I'm delighted that they're here to be with us this evening. Actually, I'd like to do just a few introductions. The students all have name tags, so you can identify them easily. But there's some non-students here, and I think we should get to know them. So say hello, say who you are, and just one sentence about who you are.
Okay.
What you do.
I'm Francisca Rojas. I'm research director with the Transparency Policy Project at the Kennedy School at Harvard. And I look at how new technologies are enabling responsible transparency.
I'm Chris Osgood. I co-chair the Mayor's Office of New Urban Mechanics, which is the City of Boston's innovation center. And I'm Nigel Jacobs. I'm the other co-chair of the Mayor's Office. Save on.
Hi, folks. My name is Tony Hernandez. I am a local resident. I honorably serve as president of the Land Board Trust for this neighborhood. And I've been hearing really cool things about this class. So
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm Ian Walter. I work education on technology projects here at as well as with our technology box, and Tony and I work together as well. So a lot of technology and tools connect to work that we do here.
Oh, I'm Deb Sosa. I'm the executive director of technology at Home down in Boston. I started out as a principal not so far from here at the Federal School.
And me? Jason, please introduce you. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Other non-students, students all have name tags.
I'm sitting out, I work in there.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
And Travis, I work here at DSNI.
I work here at DPI.
I just had a mirror from here, but I worked at the Children's Museum for a meeting about
Hey, okay, glad you're here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, all right. All right, well, Jennifer, these are the members of the course called Solving Problems Using Technology. That's the name of the course. We'll see whether we're able to do this or not. But it all starts with project briefs, ideas that were given to the students by the city. The city had worked with DSNI to pose some questions to the students. And so you'll see the students doing their best over a term to interview a bunch of people, find out what would be useful in response to those questions, those problems, and to suggest a solution or a series of solutions that could be implemented by the city. And so the thing that makes this like a reality TV show at this point is that the Boston Mayor's Office is committing to implement the best of the solutions within their complete discretion that are presented this afternoon. So, with no further ado, I'm very proud of these students and all the work that they've done through this term. It's been a real adventure. In fact, it's sort of been a roller coaster. Learning how to do user-centered design and think about a problem without very many parameters being given to you. That's not the way most courses work. And you really dove into this and with tremendous energy and heart, and I appreciate that enormously. So we're going to start. We're going to start with our agenda, which is the first. I wanted to start with this community outreach design suggestion. DSNI reaches at least 50% of the people who live geographically in this territory, but wouldn't it be great to reach more people? That's the challenges we're giving these students. So I'm going to call up Amanda, Caroline, Helena, Catherine, Lou, and Oscar to present this very first.
I'm driving. Oh, you're driving. Yeah. So just tell me, are one of you want?
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. Thanks for having us. My name's Caroline. I'm going to kick off the presentation, but before I do that, I wanted to introduce the rest of my team on this side. We've got Amanda and Catherine, who are also going to be talking us through the presentation, and then Moo, Oscar, and Helena on the other side. And we're really excited to be able to present this to you. So we wanted to start by giving you a little bit of context about where we started. When we began this process, we were given a design brief. And the objective of the brief we were given was to provide tools that could help DSNI communicate and hear from Dudley residents, especially those with whom they're not currently connected. And as you heard from Susan just then, Dudley connects pretty well with about 50% of the people that it works with. There's lots of opportunities to connect with other members in the community. And when we started this process, I think we had a pretty traditional, maybe community outreach, community organizer view of what that might look like. And so we'd imagine a lot of door knocking, a lot of asking opinions, and so on. And what we've actually come up with really has moved very, very far from there. And we're pretty excited to show it to you. So just to give you a sense of where we began by talking to a whole bunch of people, and we did that along the way to members of the Mayor's Office, some staff here, as well as some people with Code for America to understand more of the technical elements. And from all of these people, we got a bunch of advice on what the neighborhood is like, its context, its residents, as well as some community development advice from people who've worked in other communities in Boston. And so that helped us go down our pathway to the next slide. And this is sort of a sense of where we began. We began with a few ideas that came from other cities about how you connect. One of them out of Canada was that you could use Google Maps to help people vote on issues that are relevant for their geographic area. And then also another program which was more focused on individuals and students who were struggling with connecting to their high school work and staying in high school. We then moved to more of our organizer roots and came up with Organisers Connect, which is essentially like Citizens Connect, but for community organisers, who we imagine would go out door knocking and take the annual survey in the Dudley neighbourhood and would be able to use this great tool to be able to do that. We then evolved further in talking to Jason and the New Urban Mechanics office to really think more about the way that DSNI as an office, as a community, can connect with its neighbours by peeling back the walls and see what really happens in the organisation. So we came up with this peeling back the walls and using the site of DSNI as such an important part of the community and showing people what happens inside and what DSNI has done out there in the community to do that. And so that's where peeling back the walls came from, and then we moved on to our final part of the process. And so the vision really that we ended up with, and there's lovely Catherine showing a little mock-up of where we ended up, is to create a Dudley community outreach platform that invites community interaction using an interactive storefront at DSNI. And there's a little picture of it. And when we talked to Jason about this, he was super excited and really had a bunch of ideas about what would be really, really helpful for the community. And so on the next slide are some of the considerations that we absolutely had to take into account when building out this platform. The first was demographics and language. Really, really important that everything on the interactive storefront that we're going to show you in more detail shortly was in 3 languages and available for everyone in the community to use easily in the language with which they're most comfortable. It needed to obviously be cost effective and something that DSNI could buy now and also upkeep over time. It had to grab people's attention. We wanted people to be able to walk past DSNI, stop, and say, what is going on in this wonderful, exciting place? And really spend some time getting to know DSNI and getting to know its neighbourhood through its interface. Accessibility for people from very young to very old was really also very important. Low maintenance, effort, and costs really, really important for a non-profit that obviously has limited resources. And then finally, sort of some questions around what the storefront infrastructure would look like, how it would withstand heat, cold, and a bunch of other kind of practical questions, all had to be taken into consideration when doing it. So I'm going to turn over to Kat, who is going to take us through the actual infrastructure a little bit more.
Right. So as Caroline said, we were really looking for, I think our team in particular was really looking for a technology platform, and then what might live on the technology platform, so a particular application or solution that it can get, again, enables community outreach. So what we actually found from a technology perspective is a relatively new tool that you may not have seen before, which is a very long and complicated name, an interactive through glass touchscreen storefront. So there is actually, some of you will have seen this video before, but for those who haven't seen it, it's a very exciting demonstration of essentially a technology that lets you turn a regular glass front window into a touchscreen. So the benefit for us, from our perspective, is really that it invited users who are walking by on the street. Again, it enabled them to get a sense of what's going on behind the scenes, what is DSNI, and tell a story that perhaps is told within these walls, but gives us a chance to tell it outside on the street. So you just want to click on it. Oh, no. You click on the touch screen. Perfect. So this is an example of the application that was installed actually at Starbucks in Canada. And we don't have audio, so I just oh, there we go. So what you can see is they're actually installing essentially a vellum on the inside of the storefront window. And as I said, the glass is actually sensitive enough to turn this into a touch screen. And then there's an internally mounted projector, just like you would see here. And the projector is actually what's providing the information, projecting the information onto the screen itself. So from a sort of theft perspective, all the technology really lives inside the walls. But the user then gets to obviously be outside on the sidewalk. These guys certainly chose in this example chose to introduce sort of a fun and gaming element, again as a way to invite engagement from passers-by and have sort of an element of visual interest. So we really thought a lot about, I think, introducing visual interest into what we were recommending. You just want to go to the next slide. So the application that might, from our perspective, live on this technology platform is what we're calling D-Village. So we heard from Jason, we heard from Travis, that there are some useful information that could be provided to folks in the community that might attract them to use this application. And so we had a great discussion about potentially creating a map interface that included 3 key elements. The first is useful information about local construction jobs. So we heard a story about folks in the community driving